Hi, it's Alexis. I'm a relationship counselor. In this video, I'm going to explain the worst mistake that people make after a breakup. Sometimes I say in my video that the worst mistakes are made after the breakup. If you want to get back with your ex, I will explain the psychology of your ex, the things you need to avoid, the things you need to do if you want to get back with your ex. I'll explain everything after the jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
Let's start with how we feel after a breakup. And I want to take that minute to reflect together about those feelings. This feeling that you lost the person you love the most, and it is extremely hard to accept this feeling of rejection. Of course, if you're watching this video, it means that at the end of the day, you don't agree with this decision and you want to get back together. And so, in a way, being denied of something that you need, that you sometimes feel desperately need. And also the shock of how could they do this to me? We had this chemistry, we had those projects together. They told me, I love you, not a long time ago, and now they are deciding to give up on our relationship. And I want to take a minute to let you know it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be shocked. It's okay to be depressed, angry, anxious. Name your emotions. It's very important as a therapist. That's what I do with my clients. Before I move to the next slide, I always forget to say that, but if you want to support my work and get notified anytime I post a new video, don't hesitate to subscribe. It's just a click and it does help me tremendously. Yes, I've said it tremendously. It's a very hard word for me to say. So you're not weak. That's the thing I want to emphasize right now. You're not weak because being in love is the same in terms of neurochemistry as being addicted. And what you're feeling right now is the same sort of symptoms that people get when they're addicted to drugs, for example. Okay. Another thing that is important in explaining why you're suffering right now is that we have a primary need to bond with what we call the primary attachment figure. And so those two things combined means that at the core, we are hardwired to to fight back, to confront, to feel that it's unfair, right? It's very, very, very hard to adapt after some of the things that we feel essential are taken away from us. Same way as if someone would remove water, would remove food from yourself. Of course you would fight back. Of course you would want to explain like, no, I need this food, I need this, right? So people, and that's the thing you also need to remember, if you feel I'm weak, if you feel like, I don't have any sort of character, people who don't suffer breakups, because you have people who don't suffer breakup, people who didn't have feelings, and psychopaths, basically. If you're watching this video, I assume that it's because you've had a intense and sort of stable, fulfilling relationship with your partner, and that was something mutual. If your ex didn't love you, well, I think you're in denial, complete denial that there's a chance of you getting back together. If you're watching this video, I assume that there's a chance. If you're not sure whether you have a chance or not, have a look in the description. There's a link for you to know if you have any chance of you getting back with your ex. Have a look. It's totally free. All the links in the description are materials that I want to share with you that are completely free, things that I can't really share in video format. Even avoidance suffer. So if you know my content, I talk a lot about attachment theory and the dynamic of anxious avoidant. And of course, avoidant have an ability to self-soothe. And there's been studies about the fact that, yes, they can cope with the breakup better than anxious people. However, as I said before, if you have had a long-term, respectful, nurturing relationship, they will have a hard time to let go, because they will have a hard time letting go of this relationship that provided them some form of happiness. Maybe, and it's always the fear that is now taking over the sense of happiness, the sense of fulfillment. So the idea is also remembering that even if your ex is avoidant, they will suffer. And yes, maybe they don't show it, maybe you feel they are disconnected, they moved on, maybe they are dating someone else. Trust me, I've never seen, never ever ever, in any of my client cases, I can't tell for everyone, but for my client cases, when you have had something special, when, for example, on the test, on the assessment that I put together, a high score, when you know you have a history together, people never forget. There's always a moment of reconnection. There's always a moment of you having the ability to discuss things with your ex. Now, about what you should not do or what you should do. Again, in this video, I really want to take some time to explain how things work, because I'm a strong believer that by understanding how we function, we are better equipped to make the right decisions. Why does it matter? Why am I saying all of this? Mistakes in that context after a breakup is because of an emotional reaction. Let me explain. By reacting emotionally to a breakup, we tend to, first example, we blame ourselves that we are still suffering. And I have people calling me, it's been 6 months after the breakup, and they're telling me like there may be something wrong with me. Why am I still thinking about him or her after 6 months of breakup? Then you have other people who would feel the need to confront. I need answers. I'm not okay with the explanations he or she gave me. And I need to understand what's going on in his or her head. Also, one of the common questions that I get from people, let me understand what's going on in his mind or her mind. Third one is the feel to prove your worth. You dumped me, you rejected me, I disagree because I think I'm worth more. I think you're making a big mistake. And here is why. And you want to prove. We want to be like kind of a list of features. Like, you're selling the new iPhone. Here is the list of features. You might not know all of these features, and let me remind you of this. Okay? These behaviors are driven by the fear, by the emotions that I discussed before. The problem is, when you behave this way, you're making it harder for you to get back with your ex. Remember that 95% of our thoughts are unconscious. This number is debatable. I picked this one because I took this graph from an article. Basically, we have the reptilian brain, which is the amygdala survivor brain, fight or flight. We are taking away something from us. I need to fight. Okay. Then we have the emotional brain, the limbing system. And this is the one that makes you feel that craving to connect, that craving to reach out if you're in no contact. That's, making you feel like you're in a roller coaster emotionally. These are the two drivers of how we behave after a breakup. The problem is that the neocortex, the thinking brain, is only 5%. So my point here in this video is to really help you to understand first that you might be thinking, your actions are rational. They are not. And understanding that because they are not, you're going to make mistakes. Okay, because you're going to fail to understand what your ex wants at a given point in time. So understand that those actions, those behaviors are the result of what we call the self-preservation of your emotional brain. Okay, I'm going to move on because I don't want to spend like half an hour discussing about neuroscience, but it's very important for you to understand that you might be thinking, okay, this is rational, I understand my ex better than anyone, I understand me better than anyone, and therefore all my thinking process, all my decisions are rational. They are not. It's even worse after a breakup because we have feelings for that person. So the mistakes you're making is that you're letting emotions feed the following rationale. This is very important. Remember this one. The rationale that you have right now is that I'm craving this relationship, and therefore I need to do whatever it takes to get it back because I need it. This is the rationale. Because you need it, because you have this craving. This craving is an emotion. The need it is a belief. Right? Really absorb these words, that the element of craving the relationship, the driver to do whatever it takes. What does it mean, whatever it takes? You have your limits, you have your boundaries, you have your self-esteem. I don't want you to jump back into a relationship that doesn't provide you fulfillment, happiness, where you're with someone who is cherry-picking things in the relationship. Okay, it's very important. And the needy, that's very subjective. That's really about, again, the core thing, feeling that this relationship is essential in your life, and if we remove this, you can't live, you can't function. This, I want you to debate on this, to really challenge this belief. The thing is, what it means for your ex. Let's discuss a little bit about their psychology. Your ex decides. That's the problem in your situation, is that they took the decision, and they will have to take the decision whether your relationship is worth giving a second chance. What you have to do is you have to display or convey an image of someone who's mature. And when we act emotionally, it's childish. Anything, if you look at all the behaviors that are driven by emotions, you can copy-paste from a kid who's 3, 5, 6 years old. I have kids this age. Sometimes when I feel very emotional, I feel like I'm like my 4 years old, being upset because something was taken away. Or I'm like my 6 years old when he feels that we gave, his brother one cookie more than his, and it's unfair, and he wants to fight, right? And so when you react emotionally, they would realize that you can't respect their needs, which is the need for space, which is the need for reflection. You don't agree with the decision, but still, they asked to break up. They therefore need the breakup. And so by confronting, by being emotional, you're creating an image of you that's not attractive to them. How would they question their decision if, when they're thinking about getting back with you, because there's always this rational before and after the breakup, is it the right decision? So they will ask the question many times before letting you know that they want to break up, but after, trust me, they always ask the question. So it's always in that context, and like many things in life, for you, the challenge here is to fight between short-term reward versus long-term reward. The short-term reward is like, I need to get a message from him. I need to get that text. I need to get a form of validation that they're not gone, and I will get my shot of dopamine. Versus the long-term reward, which is building day after day an image of someone who's more secure, who's more confident, who's not confronting, who's not being emotional. Someone who's strong and attractive. That's what you have to build. And yes, you will have days when you won't have any feedback from your ex. And that's going to be hard because you don't know whether you're going in the right direction. And that's why people use people like me, therapists or relationship therapists like me, to assess whether they're going in the right direction. Right now, it's the only thing that matters is what you do for yourself and creating this image. And so as a therapist, what we say is usually we peel the onion, the different layers, and trying to get to the core. So first, for example, learning exactly what you're doing right now, watching videos like mine, that helps you rationalize with the situation and understand how your brain functions, the reptilian brain, the limbic system, and understand, why am I acting like this? Is it normal? Is it a normal reaction? And what would be the best course of action if I want to get back with them? There's also, if you want to get back with your ex or just after a breakup, if you want to heal and learn, is find ways to adjust your emotional response. Because as we discussed, sometimes it's very mechanic. And by acting mechanically, driven by unconscious drivers, we make a lot of mistakes. And the last, and not the least, is the belief system, the limited ones, the limiting ones. Really understand why it's so hard for you to let go of this relationship. Why perhaps you're repeating the same patterns. Why for you have a hard time trusting people or you overtrust people. There's always this element, there's always this insecurity, and it's very, very important to use this time to explore this, because If you do the right things, obviously you're going to maximize your chance of getting back with your ex. But I don't want you to jump back into a relationship and recreating the same scenarios, the same dynamic. You want things to change for you, and that will impact the relationship. But start from building that security within yourself. And I will end, but the idea that you convince yourself that you need this person no matter what. That's your belief right now. And you assume that we all need a better half to feel whole. In reality, I think you're already full within yourself. And there's no empty space waiting to be filled. You have to fight with this belief that I need someone to complete me. This idea of empty space is the thing you need to work on. If there's one thing you need to focus on, it's not the next text. You need to say, no, how you should dress for this date, or whether he would like one of your stories. That's not the point. You're missing the whole point. Take a step back. Understand why it's so hard for you to feel as if there's something missing. There's a space that needs to be filled. If you don't do this, what will happen is that you're going to jump into another relationship expecting the same from your partner. And that partner won't provide it to you because that comes from yourself. If you have any question about that, let me know in the comment section. Let's open a discussion here about this element of gap. Do you feel that actually reflecting on the breakup, there's actually something underlying there? This idea that I need someone in my life to complete me, to become someone, a whole, right? Let me know in the comment section. Take care of yourself. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer.